Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name's Rich Clark, and I've been a hypnotherapist for the last 8 to 9 years, and I've been a holistic therapist for the last 14 to 15 years. So as I talk about different topics, what comes up in hypnotherapy and things we deal with, I'm going to talk about this, which is the negative mindset. And this comes up quite a lot. And so I'm going to talk about a few things and how therapy can work and different suggestions. So a negative mindset is a persistent pattern of negative thoughts. These are beliefs and expectations that affect the perception and behaviour of the client or the individual. It often involves cognitive distortions, which is that everything is a catastrophe and that everything is an overgeneralisation. So when anybody wants to do anything, they always see that everything is going to be a bad outcome of that. This occurs a lot in a lot of people, and it's usually due to either after grief, after relationships break down between their family, bereavement, job losses, depression, and many other things. So I'm going to give an example of an average case study, what can happen. So this average case study is a lady called Lilly. She's 34 years old, and she sought therapy for chronic negative thoughts affecting her work performance. And due to this, what they suggested for her was using CBT, which is cognitive behaviour therapy, hypnotherapy. And these were 1 hour sessions over 12 weeks. And the therapist for her addressed her core belief, which was, I'm not good enough. So she believed that she wasn't good enough at work. She didn't believe she was good enough in relationships or even for her family. And this was due to her family had put negative connotations on her since being a child. So through this constructive restructuring and hypnotic suggestions, focusing on the self-worth of this person, this actual lady Lilly reported a 60% reduction in negative self-talk and improved her work confidence. With this, it's one of the things we see in negative mindsets is a lot of it is reframing the way you look at things. So in any sort of way, they can either go into a negative spiral or they can see the positive in everything. And this is all very relative to mindset. So recent research within this is a 2023 study in Neuroscience Bio behaviour reviews found negative thinking patterns correlate with the reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex is about how we do things. It's how we organise ourselves. And this increased amygdala activation, suggesting biological basis for a negative mindset maintenance. So basically, when you eat bad food and you have a bad outlook, it also affects the outcome of who you are. Because if you get a negative mindset, you can also go into the point that you don't even dress up properly. You can stay at home. It'd be very bad for people who don't want to socialise as well because they fear of socialising or they fear of everything or they fear of getting things wrong, fear of being alone. Can be also an issue. Also, even being at home can be also a fear that they want to be around people, then people disappoint them and then they retreat back in their shells. It causes this perpetual cycle. So what methods are used by therapists to help people with a negative mindset? So if we're looking at the CBT technique, which is cognitive behaviour therapy, we're looking at thought records. So we're checking people's records, how they record their thoughts and how they look at every situation. Cognitive restructuring is about how they look at a situation, how that works and how that can be helped. Behavioural activation is about changing the behaviour, getting people to see their behaviour and then reframing it and removing them triggers. And then hopefully they can then become developing a positive mindset. Now, as a hypnotherapist, number 2 is hypnotherapy approaches. It's a slightly bit more detailed. It's usually solution-focused hypnotherapy. So that you actually can teach the client to actually do certain things to help them to actually get over this. So they can also learn this with breath work, pranayama, we call it in Sanskrit. We also can work that with other solution-focused hypnosis, actually a form of like counting breath work, the way we look at situations, how we can focus on that. Parts therapy, which is about how you work on the parts which people have their problems and work out what they are, and then you actually reframe them and reframe the packages. So what you do, if someone's got a past issue they've had, is then what you do is once you've reframed it, change the trigger so then they're not triggered by that. You then put them in the therapy state in the future and see what happens when they don't have that negative mindset, how everything changes for them. Positive suggestion work, which is very much the similar thing I just mentioned. The positive suggestion work is the way you put positive suggestions embedded into the psyche of the client. And future pacing, which again I mentioned about the future, but future pacing is showing people that if they change their mindset, what the future outlook can be and how positive it can be. So once someone can see a positive outlook, then their negative outlook will, over time, will dissipate. As a psychologist, the tools they would use would be mindfulness exercises, which I mentioned, which is what I would do, which is using the idea of breathing and so forth techniques, visualization and so forth, scheme therapy, and then the inner child work, because the inner child work is very important. If someone has a negative mindset, it's probably because they've been subjected to absolute negativity through parenting. You're not good enough to do this. And that can be not just parents, that can be grandparents, that can also be social situations at schools, teachers, peers, and so forth. So this treatment is usually effective for typically requires 8 to 12 sessions, they say, for CBT. However, what I would suggest is when I do it, my best program for this would be the ARC program, which would be 3 sessions, 3 2-hour sessions, and you would get over most of your negative issues. And the success rate they claim with CBT, if they do the 8 to 12 sessions, is a success rate of 65 to 75% when combining multiple approaches. And the regular practice of learned techniques is crucial for maintaining improvements. So practitioners emphasize identifying triggering events and developing personal coping strategies. So this integration of the CBT with hypnotherapy showed particularly promising results in breaking these negative thought patterns. So if you're ever interested in breaking the negative mindset or your thought patterns you have, and you're noticing it affects your life, in your job, in your family situation, and in your relationships as well, please do not hesitate to contact me. At the moment, you can watch this video and contact me on that relevant platform of LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. My website at the moment is getting rebuilt at the moment, so that will be available in the mid of February to end of February. However, if you do contact me, you can email me at richclarkcoach@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.